This is kind of funny, but I had been planning all week to shoot some content outside. It's been gorgeous all day today. Like, it got up to like 45 today, and I was like, ooh, perfect. And then other things came up, and I was like, oh my gosh, am I actually gonna get to film this stuff? I was originally supposed to do like a little snowshoeing excursion and film some content that way, but I decided to take it to the back of the car. The sun is beginning its descent, so let's make a cup of hot cocoa, warm ourselves up, and let's have a little chat. Funny story, this fuel canister has not been used in a few years. I looked it up and it seemed to be okay. Okay, that did not quite go according to plan. It was smelling a little strange. I don't know if that's normal. So instead, we're just going to pass on the hot cocoa and, I don't know, hot cocoa another day. I currently have There Goes That Man stuck in my head. So I don't have my little hot cocoa to hold anymore. But I feel like holding a cup just so I feel like I have something to hold. But I'm being funny. Anyways, it has been such an interesting time in my life lately. At the beginning of this year, I just didn't have a vision for my business. And I sat down and like racked my brain for like different things. And I thought about all the things that I did last year and how all maybe the different goals I had that sort of came out of last year. No matter what I did, I just couldn't come up with anything strategic or like timeline wise. And that's not so much a bad thing, I don't think, because it just left open a door for the Lord to just paint the picture that he wanted to paint. The whole reason I was doing what I was doing is because the Lord had inspired it. It was his handiwork that I was just being obedient and following. So in that process of having patience and waiting on him, just asking him and seeking him, like, what is your will, not only for my life, but my business? And it really asked the question of, Lord, how can I serve you? How can my life depict you in the service to you? If I'm living a life that I say is, being a steward of the things you've given me, how do I live that life? What does that look like? What I thought it looked like was shaken. And it was questioned, basically. Something that has come out of that season in the last few months has been this stretching of my faith to a place where I'm like, Lord, I've got nothing left to give you. And I know in his heart, he's like, that's what I want. Like, I want you to give me so much that you're like, okay, what's left? There's nothing left. As time goes on, it will get clearer and clearer why the Lord allowed certain things to happen. However, one thing that did emerge from this stretching, this sifting, whatever, what emerged from that place was a closer walk with the Lord and a reminder of who he made me to be. So what I mean by that, and I've alluded to this a little bit on my business site, and he used a few people in my life to do this. He reminded me that the name he gave me, using my parents to bless me with this name, he gave my parents the inspiration to name me Gabrielle. And Gabrielle means God is my strength. And for my parents, it was a sort of signifier, a landmark, a reminder, a place to look back to say, in that time that we were going through during your, coming into the world, that period of hardship and trials that we were going through, the name Gabrielle emerged from the Lord. I think most of my life, I've been so grateful to be named Gabrielle. But as I got older, and I would say that I started to really lean into fear and anxiety because I truly didn't know a way to escape it, I forgot Gabrielle. I forgot who God made me to be. And I became more and more comfortable with being called Gabby. And there's nothing wrong with being called Gabby. It's a wonderful nickname, and I will still answer to it. I still love it. I still think to a degree that God used the season of Gabby, the era of Gabby, to protect future Gabrielle. I do believe that the Lord used it because he knew that I had to go through a season where I was trying truly on my own in different areas. I wasn't fully like, okay, Lord, I don't believe in you. But there were so many parts of my life, if I were to ever admit the internal workings of my heart and in my spirit, it wasn't fully trusting him. There were things I knew he was calling me to be and to do, and I just wasn't ready to do that yet. I knew in my heart that as this new season was approaching me, that I had not any idea was on the horizon when we turned the chapter into 2026. And from that season, I heard two stories in particular that had such an impact on me. And it's interesting because when it came time to naming my business, I knew that Gabrielle Photography just wasn't what I wanted it entirely to be. Having managed social media accounts for 10 plus years up to that point, the thing that people really need is a content creator. They need someone who could come in and help them create content. And so I knew I wanted to emerge into social media on my own, but I didn't have a name yet. And I had tried different names. I had tried different words that meant something, and I just didn't have any peace. And then I don't know what it was. I think the Lord just brought me back to my name, Gabrielle Martha. And I always wanted to be who God called me to be. I just didn't know if I could do it and be okay with not everyone accepting it. And that was the biggest hurdle to get over. The reality of not everyone will accept what you do, and that's okay. When I look at the period of time that I've had this past year with Gabrielle Martha Creative being my business, I kept hearing Gabrielle Martha. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is who I am. I'm Gabrielle. Yes, I'm Gabby, but I am Gabrielle, and I don't want to run from that identity. I don't want to try to be someone else. So now I changed all my social medias, all my accounts that I thought of off the top of my head to Gabrielle, and I am so excited to be introducing myself as hey, hi, my name's Gabrielle, what's your name? It's weird. It's really weird having gone at 13, 14 years as Gabby is so weird. But I'm so excited because that is the name that God gave me, and that is the name my parents knew from the Lord that was their inspiration to give me. And what a blessing it is to have parents that listen to the Lord in that area of their life, because now the impact in my life is so significant. And it's interesting because I went somewhere for the first time the other day and someone was asking me my name, and I was like, oh, it's Gabby. And instantly I was like, wait, no, that's not what I want to say. This girl who I introduced myself to was showing me around this place, and she turns around, she's like, what was the name, Gabby? And I was like, no, it's actually Gabrielle. And she's like, oh, did I make up Gabby? I was like, no. I'm going through reflection, reclamation, whatever you want to call it. This girl actually later, in the time that I had in this space, had prayed over me, and she had prayed my name, Gabrielle. And that was the first time in so long that someone has said my name that didn't immediately know me, like my family, my super, super close friends who've known me since I was little. That was the first time someone had said my name in prayer to the Lord. And I was like, oh my gosh, if you want to feel the Lord, the power of the Lord, be who God has called you to be and walk in the way that he's called you to walk. And when you do that, it will blow the roof off places, I promise you. And then that reframes and shifts the perspective of the heart. If God is doing something in your life, there's a reason why he's removing old and giving you new. It's not about the grass being greener. It's always entirely about how can I serve God, give glory where glory is due, and most importantly, how can I live a life that lives up to the name that God has called me to be? How could I live a life that lives up to the purpose, the calling he has for me? And just further cement this, I write not poetry, I wouldn't call it poetry. My friend kind of put it it's almost like a version of writing your own psalms. So there's no rhyming to it per se. Sometimes there is, but sometimes it's a short, concise way of sharing what God has put on my heart. And something that recently, when I was thinking about this and writing in this area, the Lord really brought back to my heart Luke, where it talks about the new wineskins. So I just want to read Luke chapter 5, verse 36. Then he spoke a parable to them. No one puts a piece from a new garment on an old one. Otherwise, the new one makes a tear, and also the piece that was taken out of the new does not match the old. And no one puts new wineskin into old wineskins, or else the new wine will burst the wineskins and be spilled, and the wineskins will be ruined. But new wine must be put into new wineskins, and both are preserved. So the thing about the wineskins, when wine is poured into new wineskins, it expands with the fermentation. However, new wine that's going to expand as it ferments, it's going to burst the already, expanded wineskins. There's nowhere else for that to go. The elastic is sort of pushed to its absolute capacity. And so now you're asking an old wineskin to be something it physically cannot be. The thing is, if God is calling us out of old seasons, or he's calling us into new things, and he's taking away old things, he's taking away old opportunities, he's removing old things, the heart posture we are to have is not always to say, how can I fit the new in the old? I mean, look at the garment example. You can't have an old shirt and it's threadbare and then try to patch it with a new patch of new garment and expect it to hold together. And as God works in our lives, He calls us to new things. It becomes easier and easier to trust Him. That's what He calls us to do, to trust Him. So it is freezing. My camera's about to shut off, and I hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll probably have some more car chats soon. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.